Hello, my name is Crackers, and I make ugly tongs. So what happens to you when you spend 6 hours trying to make your first set of tongs and you get done with them and they look like absolute and you call your wife and you're crying and you're like, I don't know what happened, I worked so hard and they came out so ugly, and she just doesn't understand? Well, I'm here for you. This is actually my second set of tongs. My first pair we are not going to talk about. My second pair didn't come out all that bad, relatively speaking, for someone with next to no forge experience. They actually work and have basically been in service for small parts since I made them in like 2006. And they are still working fine. We will see if I can change that, just completely ruin them today. But yeah, they have been working fine up until now. They did get resized, they were a little bit bigger, and then I made my second pair, which were really not any better. And after I made the second pair, I resized these a little bit to work on smaller stock, and did all this jankiness in here, this region, trying to make them work because, yeah, I didn't understand how they changed when you went to adjust them. But I do now, because I've made a couple dozen terrible pair of tongs that have gotten thrown away since, or started and abandoned halfway through would be more appropriate. But I'm going to see if I can't turn these into something a little bit nicer. I'm a little bit hesitant to go there because, yeah, I'm still not confident enough that I won't just make more garbage. But I'm going to throw them in the fire and go ahead and find out. While we're at it, I am also going to take these apart. These technically work and aren't really a problem, but I forgot to clean up the perimeter with a file, so they were bound up a little bit, and it took quite a bit of yanking and tweaking and heating to get them to kind of burnish themselves back into shape. So I'm going to go over taking these apart and going to clean them up with a file and do all that stuff. While we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and finish the pair from last week. And I'm pretty sure that that is, again, more than I can get done today. But we will see. This is going to be fairly quick. These will, yeah, they're going to be quick too, right? We're going to stay positive. We're not going to pretend like this isn't going to end horribly. Alright, so first thing that has to happen is you've got to grind the rivet off and get it driven out, which that one does not want to cooperate very well. Just not surprising. Actually, I need to be careful. When I was making these chisel handles, I dented the crap out of the face on this thing. It definitely needs to be re-hardened. So I'm trying to only use it for hot work for now. I don't know where the idea for the gentle curve on the back half of the boss came from. I'm not particularly against it, but it's not the way I do them now. My most recent standard double set down tongs look like this. This is kind of what I've been making the last 5 or 6 pair that I've made. This is basically just the way I go at it now. Like I said, I'm not particularly against it, but it does make it a little bit harder to make adjustments to them when you don't understand what's going on. The problem that I had was when I went to go resize them. Originally these were more in like the the 1/4 inch or 5/16 range. And after I made this set, oh, this fits that size really well, or it did before they got worn out. But it's fit that size really well, so I resized these to work on smaller stuff. And the basic idea that I used was I got them hot and I closed down this side, and what I didn't realize is when you bend the bit this way to close them up, that doesn't affect the base. In order to get the base to move, you've got to rotate the entire boss. All has to rotate, which means the base of your bit has to move in, and you actually move the end of the bit out to make them smaller, and vice versa if you're trying to make them larger. Making them larger is easier, especially if they're in a size that's closer to the boss. And the smaller they get, the harder they are to adjust, because the amount that the boss has to twist becomes more drastic the smaller it gets. So that's where this tweak came from, because at the time I didn't have a decent vise or anything like that, so it had to be done over the end of the horn, and that was as close as I could get this bend to the actual boss itself. And at the time, also my riveting skill was basically non-existent, being that this was like the second thing that I had ever riveted. So yeah, that skill just wasn't there, and I wasn't confident enough in my ability to be able to get these riveted again. And if you saw the quality of the rivet that was on these, you will see it took a while before I got to even the mediocrity that I enjoy today. Unfortunately, I forgot to do an audio check before I did all of the actual correction work on these. So almost all of the audio for the actual work that I did on these is corrupted. The video is still sound. Video is still good, and you'll still either have seen that or you're about to see that. I'm unsure as how to progress with that in editing, but in any case, what I've done here is I've taken most of the Quasimodo shape out of these pieces. I've gotten them kind of aligned where they really should be for this style of tong, and since the hole in this tong half was so far off center, I decided to make a tiny rivet and forge weld it into the tong half. That actually worked out as well as I could have hoped, which allowed me to repunch the hole actually in the center so that everything lines up the way it's supposed to. I had to do a little bit of grinding and filing to get it, to get the two halves to actually work and not interfere with each other, and that pretty well has me to where I am now. So now I've got the holes resized, I've got everything to where it's no longer going to interfere, and the only adjustments I have left I'll actually make once they're riveted together. The last bit that I have that I want to do now is actually put the step in the reins so that they sit flat, and then we'll go ahead and rivet them. Well, that completely went to hell. I would normally tell someone to take these back apart and start over, but I am not that patient. I managed to pull it off. Ugh. So now, to finish these up, I just had to go hunt myself down a piece of 1/8" plate. And these are going to close up too much. Well, that's pretty much it there. Just want to make sure that they're straight. The handles are more or less perpendicular to the work. And I think that's going to be good. Let's see. They do need to open up just a tiny bit. So, there. The reins, that is. The jaw is pretty well set where it needs to be. Ah, there we go. That's better. Well, that's one set done. See what we can do with the next set. These guys are relatively straightforward. All I'm really doing is just evening out the thickness and taking the sharp corners off. And obviously I reshaped up here a little bit. They just need refinement. And probably a better rivet. Boom. There we go. They're done. So you can see on these, they're rubbing there, a little bit there, and right there. So I'm just going to come in, try to flatten this out a little bit, take this little bump off, and then put a little bit of relief in here like I did on the other pair. Alright, with that done, I should just have to rivet these back together and they should be ready to go. These are a little bit too big for what I wanted. I was hoping for something in the kind of 5/16 range. Maybe 3/4 on the bigger side. So I'm having to rotate these and pushing the material back into the boss. I'm not sure that's going to be enough. Oh, I think we got it there. Made it pretty funky looking, but I can clean that up. I'm gonna keep this one here for a sample. Guess we're repunching that hole. Not a big deal. Okay. And now that's got them fixed. So I just realized these two split tongs that I just finished are made in the opposite direction. It doesn't really change anything. They will both work the same still, but it's just amusing that I somehow flip-flopped them in the middle of making them. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. They are done now. I went ahead and cleaned the bits up a little bit. Just narrowed them up just to make them look a little prettier. Again, that really doesn't change much because out at the edge, that leverage really doesn't, or that extra bulk at the tip doesn't really do a whole lot. Unless you're maybe like grabbing stuff way out on the end, but even then, you're not going to be doing anything heavy enough that you've got to worry about how thin that's going to be up there. So they should be fine. But that is 2 new spaces in the tong rack filled, as far as like 2 sizes that I've got ready in the tong rack. These guys both cleaned up really well. Like I said, I really would have just remade these, but being that this is the 2nd and 3rd pair of tongs that I made ever, I have a little bit of a sentimental attachment to them, so it was, it meant a little bit to me to go ahead and clean them up and turn them into a nice, nicer set of tongs. I don't know when or why I stopped doing this kind of more SE kind of soft bend in these, but I kind of like it. I might revisit that later in the future, but for now, this is going to be it for today. I hope you learned something out of this. I know I struggled a lot with making tongs and trying to get this kind of stuff correct and try to get it right, and it would have been helpful for me to see some video or some demonstrations on how to fix some ugly ones. So hopefully that helps you. If not, I hope it was worth watching in some way, but I'm gonna get going and I will see you guys next time.